Let me ask you something, and I need you to answer it honestly, not for me, but for yourself. When was the last time you looked at your own life, truly looked at it, and felt that gap, that hollow, aching space between where you are right now and where you know, deep in your bones, you are supposed to be? You know what I'm talking about? Not the life you describe to people at dinner, not the version of yourself you post about online, your real life, your real self, lying awake at 2 a.m, staring at the ceiling, wondering why it still hasn't happened, wondering why other people seem to be moving forward while you feel like you're standing in quicksand. You feel it right now, don't you? That restless hunger, that whisper in the back of your mind saying you are capable of so much more. You were not built for this. You were not built for average. You were not built to scroll through other people's victories while yours stays locked somewhere inside you, waiting. Here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. That hunger is not a curse. That ache is not failure. The gap between your dream and your reality is not evidence that you can't do it. It is evidence that you haven't yet met the full price that success is asking you to pay. And today that changes. Because today I am going to tell you exactly what success demands. Not 2 things, not 5, not 8, 10. 10 things that success will never stop requiring from you. And not a single one of them is optional. Before we dive in, I want you to settle something in your heart right now. Success is not a lottery ticket. It is not handed to the lucky, the talented, or the well-connected. It is built brick by brick, day by day, sacrifice by sacrifice, by the people who are willing to meet its demands with everything they have. And success doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't care about your past, your circumstances, your timing, or how many times you've already tried and fallen. Success only responds to one thing: what you do, not what you feel like doing, not what you plan to do, what you actually do every single day. So let's begin, because the clock is already ticking, and somewhere out there, someone with the exact same dream as you are already in motion. The question is, are you? The first thing success demands from you is hard work. I know, you've heard it 1,000 times. You're probably rolling your eyes right now. But stay with me for a second, because this isn't a pep talk. This is a reckoning. Most people think they work hard. Most people believe they're giving it their all. But if you look closely, and I mean really closely, most people are working hard at the wrong hours, on the wrong things, and quitting at exactly the moment when the breakthrough was 5 minutes away. Real hard work is not glamorous. It doesn't come with a soundtrack. Nobody is watching. Nobody is clapping. It's the 5 a.m. alarm that nobody hears go off except you. It's the moment when your mind is screaming at you to stop, to rest, to scroll your phone just for a little while, and you choose to keep going anyway. That's what hard work actually looks like, not the highlight reel, the raw, ugly, exhausting, unglamorous middle of it. There is a man. I want you to picture him. He wasn't brilliant. He wasn't born into privilege. He had no connections, no head start, no safety net. What he had was a dream that kept him awake at night and a work ethic that refused to let him sleep in the morning. While his friends were enjoying weekends, he was studying his craft. While his family told him to be realistic, he was building something in a room where nobody could see him. He failed, yes. He stumbled, absolutely. But he never stopped working. And then, slowly, almost without him noticing, the compound interest of all that invisible effort started to pay dividends. Opportunities appeared. Doors opened. People started calling his name. He hadn't gotten lucky. He had worked so long and so hard that luck had no choice but to find him. That story is available to you, but only if you understand this truth with your whole heart. You do not get what you wish for. You get what you work for. Every day, you are either building your future or abandoning it. Every hour you spend in focused, relentless effort is a deposit into an account that will one day pay you back beyond your wildest imagination. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Put your head down, lock in, and work like the version of yourself you want to become is already watching, because they are. The second thing success demands is patience. And I will be honest with you, this is the one that breaks most people, because we live in a world of instant everything, instant results, instant feedback, instant gratification. We have been so conditioned to expect speed that the moment something takes longer than expected, we assume it's not working. We assume we're doing it wrong. We assume it's not meant for us, and we quit right before the miracle. Let me paint you a picture. Have you ever planted a seed in the ground and then gone back the next morning expecting to find a tree? Of course not. That would be absurd. You know the seed needs time, darkness, water, silence. You know the growth is happening underground long before you can ever see it above the surface. And yet, when it comes to your own life, your own dreams, your own journey, you expect to plant a seed on Monday and harvest a forest by Friday. That's not patience. That's impatience dressed up as ambition. Real patience is something entirely different. It is not passive. It is not weak. It is one of the most ferocious, warrior-like qualities a human being can possess. It is the ability to keep working, keep believing, keep showing up, even when the results are nowhere in sight, even when the people around you are getting ahead, even when your own mind is whispering that maybe you should give up. Some of the greatest comebacks in human history happened after the longest stretches of silence. The inventor, who failed hundreds of times before the light finally came on. The writer, who was rejected by every publisher in the industry before the world recognized their genius. The athlete who spent years in the shadows before the spotlight found them. The silence before the breakthrough is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is pressure cooking greatness. If you are in that season right now, the waiting season, the invisible season, the season where nothing seems to be happening, I need you to hear this. What is meant for you is still on its way. The universe did not forget you. Your dream did not expire. Stay the course. Stay steady. The roots are growing deeper than you know. And when the breakthrough finally comes, it will be proportional to every ounce of patience you held on to along the way. Don't rush the process. Don't try to shortcut the season. Let the work compound. Let the time do what time does. And whatever you do, do not quit in the waiting. That is where champions are forged. In the silence, in the holding on, in the quiet, defiant refusal to give up before the harvest. The third thing success demands from you is sacrifice. And this is the one most people are not ready to hear. Because sacrifice means giving something up, something real, something that matters. And most people want the destination without paying the full fare. Here is a truth that will cut you, and I say it with love. If you are not willing to sacrifice for what you want, then what you want will eventually become the sacrifice. Read that again. Let it land. Your dream, your vision, your future, all of it becomes the casualty when you refuse to give up the things that are holding you back. You want the body, but you're not willing to sacrifice the comfort food and the late nights. You want the business, but you're not willing to sacrifice the weekends and the social outings. You want the career, the relationship, the life of meaning, but you're gripping onto the distractions, the excuses, and the version of yourself that has always played it safe. Sacrifice is not cruel, it is clarifying. The moment you decide what you are truly willing to give up for what you want, that is the moment you discover exactly how badly you want it. And real sacrifice goes deeper than giving up sleep or comfort food. Sometimes success demands that you say goodbye to the people who were keeping you small. Not with hatred, not with drama, but with love and clarity. Some of the people closest to you are not equipped to hold your vision. Some of them are so comfortable in their own limitations that your ambition makes them uncomfortable. And rather than face that discomfort themselves, they will pour it onto you. They'll call it concern. They'll call it realism. They'll tell you to be practical, to be careful, to not get too big for your britches. And you will have to smile, love them anyway, and choose your dream over their fear. That is one of the hardest sacrifices success asks of you. But here is the other side of that truth. And this is what makes sacrifice worth it. Every single thing you give up in the pursuit of your dream creates space for something greater to arrive. Every comfortable habit you release, every time-wasting relationship you let go, every hour of distraction you trade in for 1 hour of focused work, all of it creates room for the life you are building to move in. Regret is the most expensive thing in the world. It costs you not just the dream you didn't chase, but all the years you spent wondering what would have happened if you had. Choose your sacrifice now. Choose it deliberately. And know in your heart that what you gain will always be worth more than what you gave. The fourth thing success demands is consistency. And this right here is where the real separation happens between people who dream and people who build. Anyone can show up on a good day. Anyone can give 100% when they're feeling energized, inspired, motivated, on fire. That's easy. That requires nothing extraordinary. What is extraordinary, what separates the elite from the average, the legends from the forgotten, is showing up on the bad days, showing up when you're tired, when you're sick, when life is falling apart at the seams, when nobody is watching, when the results still aren't coming, when your faith is hanging by a thread. That is consistency. And consistency is the most underrated superpower in the world. Here is something I want you to understand about the way results actually work. They are not linear. They are not predictable. They do not arrive on your schedule. For a long time, sometimes a very long time. Consistent effort produces what appears to be nothing. You keep working, you keep showing up, you keep grinding, and you look at your results and they seem barely changed. You start to wonder if it's working. You start to compare yourself to others who seem to be growing faster. You start questioning your strategy, your talent, your path, and then, all at once, something shifts. The compound effect kicks in. All those small, consistent daily actions that seemed invisible suddenly reveal themselves in one enormous leap forward. That is how consistency works. It's not about dramatic, explosive effort. It's about the accumulation of deliberate, disciplined daily action, day after day after day, until momentum becomes unstoppable. Your habits are writing your future right now, in this moment. Every small decision you make consistently, what time you wake up, how you spend your first hour, what you choose to focus on, what you choose to walk away from, those habits are literally constructing the architecture of your life. The person you will be 5 years from now is being built today by the things you do consistently when nobody is watching and nothing feels urgent. Make consistency your identity. Not a goal, not a phase, an identity. Be the person who shows up every time, no matter what. Oh, because the world has enough people who show up occasionally, brilliantly, and then disappear. What the world needs, what your dream needs, is someone who shows up every single day, even imperfectly, even exhausted, even uncertain, one step at a time. That is how you win. That is how it has always been done. The fifth thing success demands is discipline. And I need you to understand the difference between discipline and motivation. because confusing the two might be the most dangerous mistake you will ever make on your journey. Motivation is beautiful. It is electric. It is that feeling that surges through you after a powerful speech, after a breakthrough conversation, after the moment of clarity that makes everything feel possible. Motivation is a spark, and sparks are wonderful. They start fires, but a spark cannot sustain a fire on its own. The moment the wind picks up, the moment conditions change, the moment life throws its inevitable chaos at you, the spark goes out. And then what? That is where discipline lives. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning after the spark is gone. Discipline does not wait for you to feel ready. Discipline does not ask whether you're in the mood. Discipline does not care that it's raining outside, that you barely slept, that you had a terrible day, that your energy is at zero. Discipline says, this is what needs to be done, and it will be done, because that is who I am. People who rely on motivation will always be inconsistent. They will have brilliant weeks followed by weeks where they vanish. They will ride the highs and crash in the lows. But people who have built discipline, true, bone-deep discipline, those people become a force because they have made a covenant with themselves that no bad day, no low feeling, no external distraction can break. Discipline is waking up when every cell in your body wants to stay in bed. It is finishing the last set when your muscles are screaming at you to stop. It is closing the social media app and opening the document you've been avoiding. It is doing the thing every day, especially when you don't want to, especially when it's hard, especially when nobody will know if you skip it, because you will know. And the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship in your life. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build self-trust. And every time you break it, you chip away at the foundation of your own confidence. Discipline is how you become someone you can trust. Discipline is how you build the version of yourself that actually achieves things, not just plans them. Start small if you have to. 1 promise to yourself per day, keep it. Then 2, then 5, build the muscle. Because like every muscle, discipline grows with consistent use, and it atrophies the moment you stop exercising it. Do not wait for discipline to feel natural. It rarely does, especially at first. Push through the awkwardness. Push through the resistance. On the other side of every act of discipline is a version of you that is stronger, sharper, and 1 step closer to the life you have been dreaming about. Master discipline and success becomes not just possible, it becomes inevitable. The 6th thing success demands is self-confidence. Not the loud performative kind that needs everyone in the room to validate it. Not the brittle kind that crumbles the moment someone criticizes you. I'm talking about something deeper, something quieter and more powerful than anything the world can give or take away. Real confidence is not, I know they'll like me. Real confidence is, I will be perfectly okay even if they don't. That distinction is everything. Because the people who depend on external validation for their confidence are at the mercy of every opinion, every comment, every raised eyebrow in the room. They shrink when they're doubted. They falter when they're criticized. They abandon their vision the moment someone they respect shakes their head and says, I don't think that's a good idea. But the person with genuine self-belief, that person is unmovable. Not because they think they're better than everyone else. That's arrogance. And arrogance is fragile. Real confidence is built on something far more durable. Self-knowledge and self-trust. Knowing what you're capable of. Knowing what you've already survived. Knowing that you have looked into the face of fear before and not turned away. That knowing is the bedrock of real confidence, and nobody can take it from you. Here is something I need you to understand about the relationship between confidence and action. Most people think confidence comes first and action follows. They think, once I feel confident, then I'll take the leap. But that is completely backwards. Confidence does not precede action, it follows it. Every time you do the scary thing anyway, every time you show up even when you're trembling, every time you try even when failure is possible, you earn a piece of confidence that no one can give you and no one can take away. Confidence is built in the arena, not in the stands. It is built through reps, through failures survived, through risks taken, through the accumulation of evidence that you are capable, resilient, and still standing. So stop waiting to feel confident before you move. Move first. The confidence will come. And while you're moving, watch what you say to yourself. The internal monologue running inside your head is either your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you deeply love and deeply believe in. Speak to yourself the way a great coach speaks to an athlete who is capable of winning. Walk into every room like you belong there. Not because you've already proven it, but because you are committed to proving it. The world has a way of treating you the way you treat yourself. When you walk in knowing your worth, people sense it. When you carry yourself with quiet certainty, doors open that would never open for someone who is apologizing for their own existence. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to believe in your vision even when the evidence isn't there yet. You are allowed to know that the best version of you is not some impossible fantasy. It is a future you are actively building, one brave, confident, disciplined action at a time. Believe in yourself the way someone who loves you completely believes in you. And then show the world exactly what you're made of. Now, I want you to stay right here with me, because we are only halfway through what success is asking of you. And the second half, what comes next, is where everything gets deeper, where the work becomes not just external, but internal, where success stops being about what you do and starts being about who you are becoming. We've talked about hard work, patience, sacrifice, consistency, discipline, and self-confidence. These 6 are the foundation, the bedrock. Without them, nothing else can stand upright. And I want you to be honest with yourself right now. Which of these 6 have you been avoiding? Which one did you read and feel that quiet sting of recognition, that small, uncomfortable truth that said, this one is talking about me? Because that sting is important. That discomfort is not your enemy. It is a compass. It is pointing directly at the next place you need to grow. Don't look away from it. Lean into it. The things that make us most uncomfortable are almost always the things we need most urgently. So, take a breath. Take stock of where you are right now with these 6 demands. Not to judge yourself, not to spiral into shame, but to make a promise. A real one. The kind you make not on paper, but in the silent, sacred space of your own heart. A promise that from this moment forward, you meet these 6 things with everything you have. Because the next 4 things I'm about to share with you in part 2, they build on this foundation. They require it. And when they land, when you understand what the final 4 demands of success truly are, you will feel something shift inside you, not just in your thinking, in your being. Stay with me, because the next 4 things success demands from you are going to reach places in you that you didn't know needed to be reached. And when we are done, you will not walk away the same person who sat down to listen to this. That is a promise, all right? No more easing in, no more warming up. That time is over. The 6 things we covered in part 1, those were your foundation, your ground floor. And if you absorb them the way they were meant to be absorbed, something inside you has already shifted. But now we are moving into different territory. harder territory, the kind that most people never reach, not because they're incapable, but because they stopped before they got here. Because getting here requires that you've already done the work, already paid the early price, already lost the sleep, said no to the distraction, and made peace with the discomfort. If you're still with me, then you've earned what comes next. So straighten up, lock in. Because the final 4 demands of success are not gentle. They are not going to sit politely across the table and ask how you're doing. They are going to grab you by the collar, look you dead in the eyes, and ask one question. How badly do you want it? Let's find out. The 7th thing success demands is a positive mindset. And before your eyes glaze over, before you picture someone clapping and smiling and repeating feel-good phrases into a mirror, I need you to understand that what I'm describing is nothing like that, not even close. What I'm talking about is not decoration. It is not a mood. It is not something you paste onto a bad situation to make it look prettier. A genuine positive mindset is a weapon. It is one of the sharpest, most lethal tools in the arsenal of any high performer, and most people are walking around completely unarmed. Here is the truth about negativity that nobody talks about. Negativity is easy. Cynicism requires almost no effort at all. Your brain is literally wired to spot danger, to anticipate failure, to assume the worst. It's a survival mechanism built over millions of years of evolution. And in today's world, that mechanism is misfiring constantly. Every piece of bad news you consume, every comparison you make on social media, every hour you spend around people who complain more than they create, all of it is feeding a beast inside your mind that grows larger every time you feed it, and a large enough beast will devour your ambition whole. So, choosing a positive mindset is not naive. It is revolutionary. It is an act of defiance against the default. It is deciding consciously, deliberately, every single morning that you are going to scan your environment for what is possible rather than what is broken. For what you can control rather than what you can't. For the path forward rather than the wall in front of you. This is not about pretending problems don't exist. The problems are real. The obstacles are real. The setbacks are absolutely real. But here's what separates the person who gets crushed by adversity from the person who gets forged by it. The person who gets forged chose, even in the worst moment, even with their back against the wall, to focus on the solution rather than the wound. That choice is everything. It is the entire difference. Because when your mind is locked on solutions, it becomes generative, creative. It starts producing options where other minds can only see dead ends, and you become, almost involuntarily, unstoppable. Not because nothing goes wrong. Everything goes wrong for everyone. But because you have decided that going wrong is not the end of the story, it is just the middle, and the middle is where the real work gets done. Choose your mindset like your life depends on it, because your dream absolutely does. The 8th thing success demands is focus. And this one is the most violated demand of the 10. Because we live in the single most distracted era in the history of human civilization. Think about what is competing for your attention right now. Not just right now as you listen to this, but every hour of every day. Notifications, noise, opinions, arguments, entertainment designed by some of the smartest engineers on earth, specifically to keep you glued and scrolling and consuming and never ever doing the deep focused work that would actually change your life. The world is not neutral. It is actively, aggressively pulling you away from your mission. Every ping on your phone, every trending topic, every conversation that has nothing to do with your goal, it is all pulling. And if you do not learn to pull back with equal force, you will spend your entire life being dragged around by other people's priorities. Focus is not just about paying attention. It goes much deeper than that. Real focus is about ruthless elimination. It is about deciding with absolute clarity what your mission is, and then systematically, mercilessly cutting out everything that does not serve it. It is saying no to the good things so you can say yes to the great things. It is protecting your time the way a soldier protects a position, because your time is your life, and every hour you give away carelessly is an hour you cannot reclaim. Picture a magnifying glass held under the sun. Spread those rays across a wide area and you get warmth, maybe some light. But the moment you concentrate every single ray into one tight, precise point, you get fire. You get ignition. You get transformation. That is what focus does to your potential. Scattered effort produces scattered results, but concentrated effort, sustained, locked in, distraction-free effort applied to the right thing day after day produces breakthroughs that look like miracles to everyone watching from the outside. They are not miracles. They are the natural result of a focused mind doing the work long enough for the compound effect to ignite. The most successful people in the world are not the most talented. They are the most focused. They have learned to live inside a tunnel where only the mission exists, and they guard the entrance to that tunnel like their future depends on it. Because it does. Say no more. Eliminate more. Protect your attention with ferocity. And watch what happens when every ounce of your energy is finally aimed at one target instead of scattered across a dozen. What you can accomplish in 12 focused months would astonish the version of you that has been busy being distracted for the last several years. Lock in, shut out the noise, and go. The 9th thing success demands, and this one is the deepest, the most powerful, and the one that most people discover far too late, is purpose. Not goals, not targets, not a 5-year plan or a vision board pinned to a wall. Purpose, your why, the reason behind everything, the thing that exists underneath the surface of every goal you've ever set, the fuel that was always supposed to be powering the engine of your ambition. And here's what I've come to understand after watching people succeed and watching people fail. The ones who sustain success over the long run, through the valleys, through the setbacks, through the seasons when everything feels impossible, are always, without exception, the ones who are clear on why they're doing what they're doing. Because here's the brutal reality of the grind. There will be a day, and probably more than one, when nothing is working, when the hard work feels pointless, when the patience feels like delusion, when the sacrifices feel too steep and the results feel too distant, and every voice around you is suggesting gently or loudly that you should just quit. On that day, and I promise you that day will come, your goals will not save you, your vision board will not save you, your morning routine will not save you. The only thing that will pull you back from that edge is a purpose so clear, so deep, so personally meaningful that abandoning it would feel like abandoning yourself. I once knew a man who had everything the world defines as success: the income, the title, the respect of his peers. And he was hollow, genuinely, quietly, terrifyingly hollow, because every single thing he had built chasing a version of success that someone else had defined for him. His parents' idea of achievement, his industry's idea of winning. He had worked like a machine, hard, consistent, disciplined, focused, and he had arrived. And standing at the top of that mountain, he looked around and realized it wasn't his mountain. It never was. He had climbed the wrong peak. Don't let that be you. Purpose is the thing that makes sure the mountain you're climbing is your mountain. It is the compass that keeps every ounce of your hard work, discipline, focus, and sacrifice pointed in the direction of a life that is genuinely yours, one that fills you up instead of hollowing you out. You find it not by thinking harder, but by going deeper, by asking yourself, If I stripped away the money, the approval, the status, what would I still want to build? What problem would I still want to solve? Whose life would I still want to change? What would I do if failure wasn't possible and judgment wasn't a factor? That answer, that raw, unfiltered, personal answer, is the beginning of your purpose. And when you live inside it, everything changes. The hard work stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like contribution. The patience stops feeling like waiting and starts feeling like preparation. The discipline stops feeling like restriction and starts feeling like devotion. Purpose does not make the path easier, but it makes every step on the path mean something. And meaning is the most powerful fuel in the human experience. Find yours, live inside it, and let it be the thing that refuses to let you quit when everything else is telling you to. The 10th thing success demands, and this is the one that will surprise you the most, is gratitude. Not as a feeling, not as a ritual, as a practice of power. Because here is what almost no one tells you about the psychology of achievement. The people who are most grateful for what they already have are almost always the ones who attract the most of what they want next. That is not coincidence. That is not spiritual mysticism. That is science. When you live in a state of genuine gratitude, your brain literally operates differently. The neural pathways that generate fear, scarcity, anxiety, and paralysis, they go quiet. And the ones that generate creativity, resilience, problem solving, and forward momentum, they come alive. Gratitude is not the thing you do after you succeed. It is the thing you do to fuel the success. Every single morning, before the phone, before the emails, before the noise of the day rushes in, there are people who sit in the discipline of asking themselves, what do I have right now in this moment that I would not trade away? And the answers they find ground them. They anchor them. They remind them that even in the middle of the struggle, in the middle of the grind, in the middle of the season where nothing seems to be working, there is still something real, something good, something worth fighting for. That reminder becomes rocket fuel. Gratitude is also the antidote to the comparison trap, the single most creativity-destroying habit of the modern era. Because when you are genuinely grateful for your own journey, your own growth, your own chapter of the story, you stop hemorrhaging energy, measuring yourself against everyone else's highlight reel. You stop feeling behind. You stop feeling less than. You step back into the lane that was built for you, and you run your own race with everything you have. There was a woman who had lost almost everything she had spent years building. Her career had collapsed. Her confidence had shattered. She was starting over at an age when most people had already arrived. And every morning, even in the worst of it, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. Not big things, small things. The fact that she still had her health, the fact that her mind still worked, the fact that the day was new and the possibility of a different outcome was still alive. And those 3 small things written down every morning in a spiral notebook became the thread she held on to. Day by day, those small threads wove themselves into a rope, and that rope pulled her out of the valley and up a mountain she had never even imagined climbing before. That is the real power of gratitude. It is not soft. It is not weak. In the hands of someone who is already disciplined, focused, purposeful, and working, gratitude becomes the final accelerant, the thing that turns a grind into a mission, the thing that turns a mission into a movement. You now have all 10. Every single demand success has been making of you, maybe for years, maybe your whole life, laid bare, named, and explained. Hard work, patience, sacrifice, consistency, discipline, self-confidence, a positive mindset, focus, purpose, gratitude, 10 demands, each one non-negotiable. each one compounding on the others. Each one, when practiced together, capable of producing a life that most people only ever dream about from the outside. But here is the thing I need you to sit with right now. Knowing the demands is not the same as meeting them. Reading this or hearing this is the easy part. The next part, that belongs to you and you alone. And there is one final thing I want to say to you. One truth I've been holding until this moment, when you've heard everything else. One truth that I believe will change the way you see everything we've talked about. Are you ready for it?